Hello, everyone. On this episode, I'm going to talk about why, on some episodes, I give sources to my news articles, and some I try not to mention who, the person is. For like the last episode, right? The last episode, I talked about a lady who ended up getting killed by her boyfriend after years of pretending to love each other on social media. And the reason why I didn't want to give a source, for that for that episode, is because I believe that, at some point in time, you have to, at least care about certain people. So because of, I didn't want people to know that, who the lady is, I won't give sources. I won't tell you who that person is. I want to try to help you find out who that person is. You can find out on your own, but there have been so many cases of this. You may think I'm talking about X, but I'm actually talking about someone else instead. So if you search this similar cases online, you may find everyone else but the person I'm talking about. But the reason I do that is because, if you have to think of things from the lady's perspective. That lady, for years, right, bragged to her friends and family members, bragged to people she knew that her boyfriend would never harm her, because her boyfriend bragged and told her, I will never harm you, I'm your bed and rock, I'm the one who will protect you for the rest of your life, and blah, 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 right? And she believed it. She believed her boyfriend when her boyfriend told her, I'm not going to harm you. You will always be safe with me. Someone tells you always be safe with me, and, you believe it. I don't believe words. I don't believe words that come out of people's mouths. I don't. It's just not who I am. But there are people who just believe you just because you say, just because you open your mouth and say words, they'll just believe you anyways. And, how do you think the lady would feel, right? The lady that was killed, when after spending years bragging that her boyfriend is the safest person she'll ever meet, the kindest man she'll ever meet, her bed and rock, they were best friends before they, got into a relationship. So dating your best friend is, the coolest thing in the world. You'll always be safe, She bragged about how she will always be safe with her best friend. All the other guys are losers, but not her best friend, And then her best friend killed her. How do you think the lady would feel, if she was alive? So because of that, I won't mention the person who died. Because not everyone who dies wants people to know that they've died or how they've died. Some people want privacy. Some families want privacy, The families of the person who died also may not want everyone knowing that, their child died, And the worst of all, not only did their child die, right? It was, she was murdered by her best friend. She was murdered by someone she never would have believed would kill her. Because that person told her, reassured her over the years that he was better than everyone else. He was the only one who cared about her. And everyone else didn't, He was the coolest one around. He was a man who protects his women. After bragging that he was a man who protects his women for years, he ended up killing his girlfriend anyways. So this is what you need to be careful of in life, is that you need to protect yourself. You need to be careful of braggers, This is what I wanted to talk about on this podcast. Other than the fact that, there's certain cases I won't mention, Even if I talk about it, I won't really give, names. That way you don't find out who they are. But, there's certain people in this world, right? You have to be careful of. This is a world of sinners. Because there are a lot of sinners in this world. You have to be careful of people lying to you. It's easier to lie than it is to tell the truth. It's easier to go to hell than it is to go to heaven. And over the years, the people I found out were, the most deceptive people in my life were always the liars, always the ones who brag the most. If you meet someone and all they do is brag, run away. These are not the kindest people in the world. Prideful people aren't that kind. Arrogant people aren't that kind. People who are arrogant, prideful, are usually not the type of people you want to be around. They rarely treat everyone around them better. They rarely ever treat people well. Arrogant people rarely ever treat people around them well. Prideful people rarely ever treat people around them well. If you see someone with, that feels, from your point of view, is, very prideful. If you see someone that feels very prideful from your point of view, you should probably avoid that person. There's a high chance, that feeling within you is telling you something. It's a warning call to you. It is telling you you need to avoid that person. Arrogant people aren't that kind. They always act as if they're better than everyone around them. If someone acts as if it's better than you, if someone looks down on you, treats you like trash, or see you as trash, it's only a matter of time before they throw away the trash. It's only a matter of time before they try to get rid of you. People rarely ever hang around trash for long. If someone sees you, treats you badly, or looks down on you, right? Acts very prideful. If someone acts very prideful around you, it's telling you something. It's telling you that they're looking down on you. It's telling you they don't see you as an equal. They don't see you as a friend. They don't see you in any way, shape, or form as an equal. They probably see you as nothing more than trash. And it's only a matter of time before they try to get rid of you. Sinners are always the most prideful people in the world. The more sinful you are, right? The more prideful you are. The more arrogant you are, the more prideful you are, the more you sin. The more you think you can get away with sins, Because everyone else is trash anyways, so why not treat them badly? Everyone else is trash anyways, so why treat them well? Why be kind to your friends and family members when you're better than them? That's the mindset of a prideful person. Why be kind to your friends and family members or random strangers when you're better than them? And this is what you need to be careful of. Braggers are always the most prideful people around. They brag a lot, right? And they're also the most scheming. I've worked with so many, I used to work in the real estate industry, right? And I used to help my family member fix houses. So I was more like a manager, right? So I managed the houses and helped them fix it. I managed the houses and helped my family member fix it. And over the years, I found out that the more prideful a person is, the more unreliable they are. People who brag a lot are people you need to avoid. They're always the greatest liars, because liars always believe they will never get caught. Since they'll never get caught anyways, why tell the truth? And prideful people, when a prideful person, when you hang around a prideful person, you realize they look down on you. And when they look down on you, they don't care about telling you the truth anymore, because you're worthless. In their eyes, you're worthless. So why tell you the truth? It's so easy to con you because you're a fool. They see you as a fool. If they see you as a fool, they'll try many ways to steal from you. They'll try many ways to con you, scam you, and manipulate you. This is why you need to avoid sinners, is that they're very manipulative people. They're very arrogant people. And they're people who will always look down on you as if you're worthless trash. The people I've worked with, over the years, there are some who, the good ones will tell you that, when they want to do a job, they tell you that, hey, This job would take about 3 to 4 hours, right? Give or take, depending on, whether we have problems in the future. This job would take about 3 to 4 hours, depending on of whether we have problems or not, right? The braggers will do the equal and opposite. They'll tell you for a fact that the job will only take them 2 hours, even though you know for a fact this job is extremely difficult. Are you sure only 2 hours? Are you really sure only 2 hours? Even when you question them, they'll start getting angry. They'll start getting angry because you're questioning their ability. You lowly trash are questioning their ability. So, and the worst part of it is when you actually hire them, right? When you hire these braggers, they're the ones who fail you the most. They rarely ever do the job well. They rarely ever do anything well, but they're always the one who brags about how well they can do the job. And then when they do the job badly, right? They will blame everyone else but themselves. They'll blame you. They'll blame you. They'll blame the house. They'll blame everything but themselves. They'll always say, something like, "It's your house that's a problem." The only reason why it took longer than 2 hours, right, is because your house has problems, man. Your house has more problems than the other houses. It's not our fault. It's not my fault that I took 3 hours more than I promised. It's your house, and because I took 3 hours more than I promised, though, guess what? You have to pay more for it. Now you're paying the bragger more money than you would have paid if you hired the person who was humbled. The humble person who told you, "I could be done within 3 to 4 hours," right? And if any issues come up, it may take a bit longer. That humble one who knew that he may not be perfect, he could make mistakes, took a shorter time than the person who bragged to you that it only take 2 hours. It's always this case where the braggers are the ones who fail you the most. They overpromise and underdeliver. They always give you endless promises. How great they'll be done, how well the job will be. And not only will they take far longer time than possible, right? They'll also do the job badly. They'll do it so badly, you'll have to hire someone else to finish the job. And the worst part of it all, you still have to pay them because they did something. If you don't pay them, they'll make up excuses, they'll start yelling and screaming at you, and it just gets worse. A bragger rarely, prideful people rarely ever take, responsibility for their actions. So even when they make mistakes, even when they destroy your house trying to fix it, they will never take responsibility for it. They'll always look for an excuse to blame you for their problems. So I'm giving you, a word of caution. Avoid people who brag. If you're someone who has to work with, contractors and other businesses, avoid the braggers. They're always the one who fail you the most. They don't think you're smart enough to realize that, they're not good at their job. They think you're dumb. When they think you're dumb, they'll brag all over the place about how great they are at their job, how quickly they can get done. Because if you don't believe them, you may not hire them. And so they want you to hire them so badly, right? They'll lie and lie and lie and lie. And then once they get the job, that's when they start to fail you. That's when they start looking for excuses. Some of them even try to steal from you. And this is what you need to be careful of. Some of these contractors, some of these, businesses that you work with, avoid the ones that brag the most because, these guys already tell you the moral character. They're prideful people. And pride itself is a sin. There's a reason why pride is a sin. There's a reason why arrogance is a sin. If these people already showing you that they're sinners just from their pride, just from their arrogance, do you really think they won't try to steal from you in the future? If they come to your place and find out you have something expensive in their house, or you have something expensive, or you're wearing something expensive, don't you think they'll try to steal from you? You're worthless in their eyes anyways, Prideful people never see you as anything of value. Since they already see you as worthless, why does a worthless person have such an expensive thing? Do you know how jealous they'll be of you when they realize a worthless person like you is living a better life than them? This is what you need to be careful of. Prideful people are the greatest sinners around. There's a reason why Satan, was, deluded by pride. Satan is the most prideful person in the world and is also the greatest sinner. Avoid people who are arrogant. Avoid people who are prideful. They're already telling you they're great sinners. They are great sinners. When they try to scam you, that's when you start to realize that they don't see you as an equal. They see you as worthless trash. And if they find out worthless trash is living a better life than them, they get jealous very easily. And that jealousy could turn into, extreme rage. They get violent very quickly when they realize that you're living a better life than they are. When they start to believe you're living a better life than they are, and they see you as nothing more than worthless trash, it's not going to end up well for you. They'll try every way to steal money from you. They'll try every way, they'll make up excuses. While they're doing their job, right? They'll make up excuses upon excuses. They'll prolong the job that only takes, 3 hours, to more than 5 or 6 hours, just so that they can find an excuse to steal money from you, just so that you have to pay them more. And some of these prideful people are extremely greedy. Do you know what that means? It means they can hire someone. They can get their friends behind your back and come to your place and rob that place. When they come to your house and find out, right, and see all the valuable things in your house, they could come back in the future and try to rob it. And I've experienced this in the past. You hire a contractor. While they're doing the job, they're looking for something to steal. While they're doing that job, right, they're looking for something to steal out of your house. This is how greedy these people are. People who brag a lot are people you should avoid the most, regardless of what field of work you're in. They're really the people who are honest. Honest people are humble. Humble people are usually honest. They rarely ever lie. If they tell you the truth that, hey, I can't, it's impossible for me to do it within 2 hours, I may need more time, you think they're making up excuses, but they're just telling you the truth, Many people think people who tell them before they do something, right? You start a business with someone and they give you, reasons why they can't do it. You think they're making up excuses, when the truth is they could be telling you the truth. The person you should avoid is the one, who brags about how well they'll get the job done. We'll be done within 2 hours. We'll be done, soon. I could, some of them will tell you, I'll be done within 30 minutes, but because this is a special case, I'll get it done in 2 hours. Knowing full well this is not something you can do in 30 minutes. You can't even do it in 2 hours. But yet they'll brag all day and all night, And this is also true in relationships. The people who brag about, about how well they love you the most are usually the liars, are usually the con artists. A humble person will never brag about, I'll protect you all, They'll always tell you how much they'll protect you, how much they love you more than everyone else. They're always bragging and bragging and bragging. These are the people who fail you the most because they look down on you. If they look down on you, why should they tell you the truth? You're worthless anyways, right? You believe anything they tell you. You're a fool who will believe anything they tell you. If you're a fool anyways, why not use it to their advantage? You're a fool who will believe them when they tell you, I love you. You're a fool who will believe them when they tell you, I'll take care of you for the rest of my life. You're a fool who will believe them when they tell you, oh, you're my soulmate. I'll do anything for you. You're a fool who will believe them when they tell you, I'll harm anyone who touches you, Anyone who tries to harm you, I'll always be there to protect you from them. When you keep believing people just because they say words to you, they'll use that to their advantage. Sinners love gullible people who believe them for no reason. They haven't proven their worth yet, but all they do is brag and brag and brag. And there are people who just believe them. People love braggers. People love prideful people because they're the greatest con artists around. They'll lie to you all day and all night, and you'll end up believing them. You see them wearing watches, expensive clothing. They spent all their paycheck on that expensive watch, on that expensive jewelry. You think they're rich, so you think they're more reliable, not knowing that these guys are the greatest con artists. Why would they? Why won't they look the most perfect? They look perfect on the outside because they know on the inside there's no perfection there. They look perfect on the outside to trick you into thinking they're reliable. They look perfect on the outside to delude you into thinking they're reliable. But behind that perfection is pure evil. Satan was a perfect angel, the most beautiful angel. Behind that beauty, behind that perfection, is pure evil. And that's what you need to be cautious of. Prideful people are people you need to be cautious of. It's a sin to be prideful. It's a sin to be arrogant. If you see someone who's prideful or arrogant, it's a warning, it's a warning call. It's a warning to you to be very careful of them. They're not the kindest people in the world. Prideful people are not the kindest people in the world because pride is a sin. They're displaying their moral character right there in front of you. And their moral character isn't that great. People who are prideful are people who look down on you, who look down on everyone around them, who sees everyone around them as trash. People who are humble are the ones who will treat you well. Why? Because they don't see themselves as better than you. They don't see you as trash. See, they don't see you as trash, but friends. They will always treat you well. They will never treat you like an outsider. They will never treat you like an enemy, and they will never treat you like a fool. Hang around people who are humble. Avoid prideful and arrogant people. It's only a matter of time before you realize what that pride means. And that pride means they don't like you. They don't see you as an equal. They see you as less than them. They see you as someone they can easily manipulate, someone they can easily fool, someone they can easily scam, someone they can easily trick. They see your life as worthless. Because they see your life as worthless, that's why they're prideful. Their pride is based off seeing you as worthless. It's not because they see themselves as great, but because they see you as worthless. And the moment they find out you're not as worthless as they think you are, they get jealous very easily, and they'll try to pull you down. They'll try to harm you. Because how can someone who they think is trash live a better life than them? How can someone who they see as worthless be more talented than them? Because of that pride, they will never allow you to succeed in life. They do not want you to succeed. They do not want you to have any progress in life whatsoever. Because they think they're better than you. If you're not always, if your life doesn't look miserable from their point of view, they'll try to ruin your life. That way, you'll never appear better than them in any way, shape, or form. This is why you need to avoid people with pride. Prideful people aren't that kind. They don't treat people around them very well. And braggers are always the most prideful people around. If you see someone who brags a lot about how great they are, about how perfect they are, run away. How well they do this, how well they do that, how perfect they are. They're better than everyone else. If you ever see someone tell you they're better than someone else, run away. It's telling you they're very prideful people. Instead of being humble and telling you they're not as good as you think they are, or they can do it well, but they as long as they're not trying to put someone else down. When you ask them when you ask them questions and they don't put some other people down, it shows you they're humble people. But people who put other people down to appear, better than them are usually scammers, are usually sinners, are usually people you need to avoid. There are people who are prideful, and prideful people never look up to people around them. They always look down on everyone around them. They always see everyone around them as trash. They always see you as trash. So that's it for today's podcast episode. I pray for everyone's safety and understanding. Amen.